Take the journey into the unknown with SNX Radio as we delve into the enigmatic world of UFO sightings and extraterrestrial abductions. Join us for conversations with leading experts and individuals who have encountered these otherworldly beings, uncovering secrets about their experiences, contact stories, and the profound implications for humanity. Listen as we reveal the incredible narratives of those who have undergone alien abductions, shedding light on the psychological and spiritual impacts of these encounters. Explore the depths of consciousness and spirituality as we discuss how these experiences may connect us to something greater beyond our understanding.
Met you on the back row, phone screen glow, slow motion halo. You say hit that follow, next thing we're flying over cargo. Swipe up, then we lift off. Both feet leaving this floor. I play like the kid drum. You said you're ready for more.
Together we explore it, night after night. So go! Truth drive, disclosure, non-stop. SNX crew, lead the way. Different views, here to stay. James Gilliland orbs, peaceful contact shine. East City skies where the UFOs align. Daryl W. Sims, implants cross the line. Alien hunter evidence, truth redefined. Stephen Love Ray, Phenomena connections burning bright. Seth Breedlove, small town monsters, legends ignite. David Spinks, energy, holding deep. Vibrations rising, awakening from sleep. Truth drive. sleep. Aloha spirit spreading peace so sweet. Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob House, footprints clear. Sasquatch trails drawing ever near. Past the cross channel, messages messages from beyond. Crystal clear. Dot skinner films, gateway disclosure pure. Capturing truth that will endure. Wonder Bob retreats, consciousness sure. Expanding minds, opening every door. SNX, truth drive. Disclosure, SNX, non-stop. SNX crew, lead the way. Different views, here to stay. Coley Weber, aka Coley UFO. SNX host supreme, uniting seekers in the truth dream. Amy Murphy, close encounters, share with grace, turning personal stories into the case. Ace and Kinsey, Intenturer, chasing the unknown. Boots on ground where seeds are sown. Jim Goodall, stealth expert, black project sage. Area 51 whispers, turn the page. SNX, truth drive. Disclosure, SNX, non-stop. SNX crew, lead the way. Different views, here to stay. Roll with the truth, fly with the stars. Don't stop. Hands in the air, drop them bars. Disclosure, SNX crew, get it live. Let's go. SNX, truth drive. Disclosure, SNX crew, get it live. Let's go. SNX, truth drive. Disclosure, SNX, disclosure, SNX, disclosure, SNX, truth drive. Disclosure.
Dials spinning past midnight. Static sparks on the chrome. Name lights up on the backlit glass. Coley calling you home. Signal in the sky. Little blip on the black. Every meter in my mind. Redlining on the track. I can feel that home in the bones, in the glow. Every beat says run, but the rhythm says go. Are you ready for the lift off? Are you ready for the spin? When the unknown pulls you closer, do you fight or dive right in? Coley UFO, SNX Radio. Take the journey into the unknown. Turn it up till the speakers blow. We're chasing shadows, never alone. Coley UFO, SNX Radio. Feel the future under your skin. Every heartbeat out on the floor is a countdown. Baby, tune in. Numbers race the clock, neon blur in my eyes. Every corner that we cut draws a map in the night. I don't need a map, I just follow the tone. Every switch, every flick is a door to the zone. Are you ready for the drop now? Are you ready for the spin? When the night cracks wide open, let the strange light pour in. Coley UFO. SNX Radio. Take the journey into the unknown. Turn it up till the speakers blow. We're chasing shadows, never alone. Coley UFO. SNX Radio. Feel the future under your skin. Every heartbeat out on the floor is a countdown. Hey baby, tune in. Close your eyes, let it scan you. Every thought, every code, every scar.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SNX Radio. I'm Coley, also known as Coley UFO. And we had a great show, I guess we ended 40 minutes ago. So it's awesome to see everybody that came back for round two. You guys are troopers. But before we bring out our guests, I just wanted to say, Blazer, oh, you got your icon changed again. Or is it the same? I don't know. Anyway, but thank you so much. Gary, thank you so much. You guys did awesome. I mean, awesome. The wrenches, like last show, were amazing. So I just want you guys to know that everybody who does that, I appreciate it so much. Ashes, hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, PN podcast. If you guys don't know, Boots on the Ground, Jen, she's got a great show. Definitely go check her out. And let's see who else. Spider Bite. Hey, girl, how are you? It's so nice to see you. Mad Paximus. Always a pleasure. Nice to see you back. This is awesome. It's awesome. Gary, again, thank you so much. And then Chad, nice to see you and cheers to you also. That's awesome. And John, thank you. John W65. That's really amazing. Thank you for you saying that. And Big Chief Thunder Lung Rodney is in the house. And unfortunately, Rodney had something to do today. So, hey, Brock. Oh my gosh, Brock, I haven't seen you forever. Brock's an experiencer. We had a great group back in the day. So, yes, you guys, I appreciate it. So, again, thank you so much for all you guys do. If you hold a wrench and you're doing, I cannot tell you just how much I appreciate it. You guys are the ones that hold it all together. So today we have a very special guest, Marc D'Antonio. And I told him he's so complex. He's got a lot of stuff. I said I would not do it justice to do an intro for you. So without further ado, let's bring Marc on. And I said, Marc, I'll let you tell the audience for yourself what you do and, tell
I
them a little bit
gotta
about
tell
yourself.
them. I have to tell
Yeah,
them.
I know. It's kind of part of the deal. I feel like
You know what?
should have an
I'm
introduction, but
I'm not good at talking about me. I can talk about what you've done. I like your music. Your music's cool. I love that. Really fun to listen to.
you'll end up
bouncing
on one of
along.
them. I'm trying to put every
No,
guest that I've had on,
oh
I'm
yeah,
trying
there
to
you
put
go.
them in the song. I
I
don't
heard you
know.
mention, yeah, that's cool. And I've been with the Mutual UFO Network for a long, long time, and in 2008 they appointed me as their chief photo and video analyst. Now, why would they do that? I guess because I was willing to do the job. Okay, and it was actually cool. Now, I'm an astronomer. That's what I do for a living. This is what we look like. You know. Um,
Normal
as we
average
speak,
people.
I have my observatory in Benson, Arizona, open, and I'm just looking at objects here, but I'm not going to obviously be looking at those while I'm talking to all of you. So I'm going to just put that aside. But I did want to say that, we run, as you can see down in the corner there, she put that SkyTourLive.org. That was very nice. SkyTourLive.org, we are a nonprofit astronomy education place. We have 2 remote observatories. I live in Connecticut, and the observatories are 2,600 miles away, and I run them from Connecticut. So I have remote access. I run them. I wrote software to do this. I also use the existing stuff that's available. And the point is, we take beautiful pictures under a sky that's darker than most people have ever seen. If you're fortunate enough to live in a very dark sky, don't give up the opportunity of looking up at that sky. It's just beautiful. And you might actually catch something. We have an all-sky camera that I built for one of our observatories. I'm building one for the second one here now. But the all-sky camera actually caught oddities in the sky. We caught an object moving through the sky like this, and it did like that. Now, satellites don't do that, and planes do, except this was just one continuous light moving across the sky, and then it started moving up in another angle. That was odd. Never seen that before. We also caught a second anomaly on the all-sky cam. It's amazing what you see, out there. So there's a lot to capture in the night sky. And so what we do is we try to make sure everyone can be in on the conversation. Everyone understands. I like to say that I can take the complex and make it understandable. And that's that's what a lot of people say. So that's kind of like, my, I guess, a catchphrase, Coley. It's sort of like, take the complex and make everybody understand it, right? And that's kind of what I do. But, I also own a visual effects company called FX Models, and we generally work a lot for the Navy and the submarine industry. So deep underwater and up in space. Here, not so much, right? But down there, yeah. Up here, yeah. So I'm kind of out of place, but it's all right. You're not going to get me to go in a deep submersible down to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, no,
No,
no. But there,
no.
I guess you're going into a whole other topic because they see there's so many sightings that do come out of there, like the USOs. That's
Yes, and speaking of USOs, I did witness one because
really
having worked a lot for the Navy over decades, I was asked if I wanted to go on a submarine for a cruise in the Atlantic. And I said, well, of course I would. Not realizing it's a sewer pipe with end caps. It rocks and rolls on the surface, and you just get seasick almost immediately. So I wasn't prepared for that. So I didn't get sick as a dog. And I was sitting with the sonar guys over. They'd steer the ship from the con, right? You have these two guys here. And then on this side, you have a little alley, and there's 4 sonar stations. I was at the sonar station 2, the one next to a guy that was actually operating his sonar station. And I was trying to get my stomach back because I was like really sick. I'm sitting there going, oh boy, I don't want to get sick. I have to have, when you go on these cruises, they treat you like royalty, which I'm not. Shh, don't tell them. And you end up having dinner with the captain and his executive team in the captain's wardroom. Ooh, it's actually very nice.
Oh, I'd be eating that up, soaking it up.
I don't want to be cleaning stuff up in the captain's wardroom. Oh, and I'm on a boat. I can't go anywhere. I can't go hide. So
right. Some people do get really seasick. I've heard that. My grandpa, he used to talk about it from the war, and he's like, I was so, so that wouldn't be very fun, I guess, if you were stuck out there like that, Mark.
There's no side to lean over, Coley, and you gotta.
Oh yeah, because you're down in.
You're underwater. So anyway, well, once you get underwater, it feels like everybody listening to this feels now. You can't tell you're moving. All right. So you might feel little shudders in your feet, little vibrations, like it'd be like, and that vibration is the submarine going through different temperature water, because that changes. It's like a plane going through turbulence, which is different temperature air, different densities of air. Well, the water's the same density, but its temperature can change how it reacts on the steel hull. So anyway,
definitely.
That said, while I was sitting next to that kid at the sonar station, I was almost nodding off, about to fall asleep, when all of a sudden I was jolted awake by him yelling out on his radio to the con behind us, con sonar, fast mover, fast mover. I'm like, oh no. I woke up immediately. The seasickness was gone because I thought a fast mover was a torpedo, like an enemy torpedo. And it's like, we're not at war. What the hell? I said all kinds of very colorful things. Okay. Thinking, why did I go on this trip? This was the wrong thing to do. And then the executive officer comes sort of wandering around slowly. I'm thinking a little faster. This could be the end of us. I'm going to grab him by the neck, He looks at him and says, what do you got? And the kid turned away from me. Okay, and gave him a bearing and a range. But so the kid was facing away from me, and the XO was up here looking down at me and the kid. Oh, wow. And he heard what the kid said. I didn't hear the bearing, distance, angle off the boat, and the range, how far away it is. I didn't hear that. But then the executive officer, known as the XO, said, what is it that, he said, how fast was that thing moving? And the kid calculated a speed, and he looks at the executive officer, and he holds his hands out, and he says, several hundred knots, sir. That's several hundred miles an hour underwater.
Wow.
And it was almost totally silent. Now, I've never been in the Navy, but I work for defense contractors with my own company. I build models, right? Advanced concepts. I built advanced concept models that won't see the light of day for 30 years. Okay. But the fact is that this object was beyond anything I had ever seen, and beyond anything based on what the kid was saying, that he's ever seen. Now, sonar operators are supposed to get everything right. They're supposed to know what everything is. I've seen sonar operators who can tell you how many blades are on the particular propeller of this ship and if it has any barnacles on it, because they can hear that disruption in the sound. They are so good at this craft. I'm not kidding. So that's not an exaggeration. Okay.
No, I bet not.
Yeah, they can tell you exactly the quality of the propeller blades and so forth. Anyway, so they know what everything is, and it's their business to know what everything is. So the thing is that he didn't know what this was. And the executive officer didn't miss a beat. He just looked at him and said, okay, because he went like this. The kid had no idea. He didn't know what to say. He had nothing to say. So the XO said, okay, log it and dog it. And the kid went, sir, yes, sir. And he turned back to his console, went back to work. And here am I, Mr. formerly seasick guy, now sitting in a chair, feeling all high and mighty because I'm a VIP invited to go on this trip. Okay, so I get up in my arrogance, if you want to call it, was sort of. And I got up and said, well, I'll show him a thing or two. And I went up to the XO and I said, sir, I know what these things are. I've been studying them for many years. Is there something I can help you with? He looks at me and he goes, D'Antonio, right? Sir, yes, sir. Are you having a good trip, sir? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He says, let's keep it that way. And he walks away. So I went, okay, I'll just go back over here and just slink into the corner.
Yeah,
Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't hi there. Hi. Yeah. So I couldn't wait for that trip to be over. It was great. I had a good time. But once it was over, I started looking into research of USOs, unknown submerged objects, and found out it's very common, relatively speaking. Not as common as seeing another ship on the water, okay, but it's an occurrence that all navies have reported. Okay, now, it turned out that 2 years after that, I had to do a job for the Joint Chiefs, the big guys. I had to build a concept model, bring it down to these guys. I brought it down, and I sat with one of the chiefs, and I said, sir, I was on a boat and they saw something and they called it a fast mover. Is there anything you can tell me about these? He looked at me square in the eye and said with a smile, I'm sorry, Mark, I can't talk about that. And I went, that's okay. I can't believe it's real. I could barely breathe. I was hyperventilating because I realized, oh my gosh, I forgot to breathe because I was so excited about this.
Wow, that is cool.
So I drove all the way back from Washington, D.C. to Connecticut. Okay, oblivious, and I felt like I got home in half an hour when it's actually a 6-hour trip, because I was thinking about this the whole time and just on autopilot coming home, basically. So they exist, and the U.S. Navy's official stance on these is observe and report, do not engage. Okay, now they've tried to engage. Like there was task force maneuvers off Puerto Rico. This was in like 1960, and now this way back when. And there were 5 submarines, trailing underwater beneath the surface ships. One of them caught sight of something and veered off, and the other 4 kept going. This one veered off, and for 3 days, it tailed something very odd. This odd thing can go to the full ocean depth and go all the way to the surface and all the way to the ocean floor in a fraction of a second and leave no trace. Okay. So the point being, these things change direction. They would slow down, let the sub catch up, and then speed away in a split second. They went through the entire gamut of machine anomaly, problem with the submarine sonar systems, the whole 9 yards. They troubleshot this thing for 3 full days, and they kept coming back to the fact that this was really there. They got real sound echoes from it, okay, and they don't know what it is to this day, right? Now, it goes worse than that, because the Japanese freighter was in the Pacific on the way back to Japan, and they were it was called the Kitsukawa Maru. Okay, the Kitsukawa Maru was heading back and its crew on the decks noticed some lights on the surface of the water, and they systematically went up out of the water one after another, went like someone shooting tracers up into the air, but they were
Oh, the
objects.
spheres.
They were moving really fast, and then they had the presence of mind to calculate the exact latitude and longitude where these lights were coming out of. And the thing that was interesting was the location is exactly at the southern tip of the deepest part of the ocean in the Pacific, the Marianas
Oh,
Trench.
wow.
Yeah, and that leads to a whole bunch of other things. Okay, because now you can basically grasp the fact that maybe they have unimpeded travel capability in our oceans, and that bothered me for years. I couldn't understand how that could be, and then I discovered through CERN and the Large Hadron Collider that one of the things they're trying to test for is a certain type of particle called a Kaluza-Klein particle.
I've heard that.
And I was like, okay, what are these? They're called KK particles. What do these KK particles do? Well, apparently, according to some physicists and other people I know, and I've talked to these people at length, the Kaluza-Klein particle isn't just a particle. It's potentially what we call a graviton. Now, we're familiar with light waves and light photons, right? The analog of the light wave is the photon. It's the other way we can describe light, as a particle of energy, photon, or as a wave. Okay?
Yes.
Well, gravity looks to be the same. We can describe it as a wave because we've seen them and detected them. But we haven't found the elusive graviton, the energy packet of gravity. But that's what Large Hadron Collider is doing, because they think that these Kaluza-Klein gravitons may exist. And the research has been promising so far. They're very elusive, but they built an entire detector for millions upon millions of dollars in order to do just this. So clearly there's a reason.
Something. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
So-
that's interesting.
Yeah, the use of those particles, Coley, is how they would actually move at these high rates of speed, because they're really not moving anywhere, which is the hardest part to follow. They're just
when they're smashing the yes.
Yeah, I mean,
So do you think that's what's actually happening when they're doing that?
they do.
Or do you think it's
every single observed reported characteristic of a UFO in the sky, or USO, every single characteristic is consistent with the use of these particles, from shimmering, vanishing, disappearing in one spot, appearing in another, all consistent with the potential use of these particular particles to move. And it's actually interdimensional travel. Now, that sounds like science fiction, and for us it is. Okay. But
just as somebody just said in there, it's probably time travel. In the Fallen had said in the
yeah, I mean, there's time's odd in this particular case, because when you move into this other dimension, see, we are in 4 dimensions, X, Y, and Z, moving through time. Time is the 4th dimension. Okay. So I'm described as being right here at this point in time at a certain X, Y, and Z coordinate. If I move here, a slightly later period of time, I'm at a new X, Y, and Z coordinate right here, different from this one. So this distance that I have between my previous position and current position, right? I had to travel through every point between them. I had to go from here to there through every point to get here. So that's a move. You see me moving. Okay. Now, what if I told you that this technology would allow us to leave the 4 dimensions entirely, go to another dimension, and then only reappear at this new spot moments later? So we could literally go from here to here without traveling the space in between.
a wormhole, kind of.
It's not even a wormhole. Wormholes are in the 4 dimensions. This is 5th dimensional travel. So we have 4 dimensions, okay, and a 5th dimension. Okay, and it's easy to confuse with which is the wormhole, which is the Einstein-Rosen bridge, terms. But the thing is, the wormholes exist possibly. We don't even know if they do. But I think we use sorry, my headset just popped out.
Oh, it's okay.
My fault. We use everything that we've ever done with our rockets and travel has all been done inside the 4 dimensions. Everything we've ever done. Going to Pluto took 10 years of flight from Earth to get to Pluto. Using this potential technology, we could get there in maybe 3 minutes. I mean, that sounds odd, but it's true, because we'd leave this 4-dimensional coordinate here at the Earth, go into this 5th dimension, and transit back into the 4 dimensions at a new coordinate. And that new coordinate would be, say, Pluto.
Is this they kind of remember, this is like eerily similar to like the 20 and back. Do you think that they like been testing this out, or how exactly do you,
well, there's,
it leaves it open for so many questions.
There's a problem with this, and the problem is that it's physics that we don't fully have proven yet, and that is physics called a theory called string theory. Because, in fact, there's a particular variation of string theory that allows for this exact thing, and it's called Randall-Sundrum 1, RS1, again, terms. But the point is, this allows for 4-dimensional transitioning into a 5th dimension and then back to the 4 dimensions again.
Oh, wow.
Now, the thing about the 4 dimensions into the 5th dimension is really special. I know it looks like a thumb, okay? But the 5th dimension is actually a very interesting one, because when you go into it, the farther in you go, it's exponential. It goes like this. So the farther in you go, the smaller the universe becomes around you. So let's say you travel 12 inches out here. You travel 1 foot. Now you say you go into the 5th dimension and you travel 12 inches in there. Let's say you go in a good deal. That 12 inches is across compressed space. So when you come back out, think of it this way, it expands to the full size of the distance you actually went. So you literally could go from here directly to, say, the moon. Boom, in one transition. Now, it would take, many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of such small transitions to get to Pluto. But if you're doing it on a ship, okay, that's running on autopilot, well, then you can just sit back and say, when are we going to be there? Shut up.
10 years from now. Yeah.
No, you'll be there in 3 minutes, maybe.
Right.
Now, and if you can go farther into that 5th dimension, it's more and more warp. So the farther in you go, in other words, the amount of energy you can muster to make these particles that do this to your ship, the farther in you go, the farther you can end up transitioning to. So I think it was a Stanford physicist who said, using this technique, we could go from Earth to Alpha Centauri, which is the nearest star system to us. That's 4.3 light years away. Light takes 4 years to get here from the nearest star. And light travels fast. It travels very fast. If you want to know how fast, you look at the entire Earth and imagine light going around the entire Earth 7.5 times in 1 second. That's how fast light travels. Wow. And it still takes 4 years for it to get to the nearest star. So it's really, really, really vast out there. So we need another way to get there. We need a way to get out to this distant place, right? So using this process and using this 5th dimensional travel process, okay, which is called the Kaluza-Klein graviton, KK gravitons, the Stanford physicist noted that we could get to Alpha Centauri in about 20 minutes using this process. It's odd. It seems odd, but that's saying we can get far into that 5th dimension so that every jump we make is a massive amount of space. Now, you have to know if you're going to be materializing inside of a comet, inside of a planet somewhere, or inside a star. So this means that the aliens that use this technology, and I think it's literally the only way they can be here, to be honest. I'm kind of a bigot that way, But if the aliens use this technology, it means that they have to be they're fantastic cartographers. They have to know where they're going and where they're materializing into from the 5th dimension. So they have to have mapped out routes and things like that. And this is all so far beyond what we can do now. But
That
we're
would
in the
make sense,
rudimentary
though.
stages.
That would it's just how they, because it's not. I feel like it's not in our space in our time. Like, especially it makes more sense the route you're talking. I think we definitely need to think outside.
Yeah. And they're definitely not using traditional travel through our four dimensions, because let's go to that USO that the submarine was chasing. If you go from the surface down to the ocean floor in a split second, there's a lot that happens if you're going through water, isn't it? I mean, it's gonna put all kinds of forces on your craft. It's gonna turn the steam. You're gonna move so fast. It's gonna cause a loud noise. But what if you're just, when you're in Earth's atmosphere, what if what you do is you just transition out of the four dimensions, go into the fifth, and then pop back in just a couple feet from where you were, and you do that over and over. So what you are is making a series of discrete points that you're transitioning into. What that means is you don't even need engines. You just have to have an exit point and know your entry point and generate these particles. I think that's pretty cool. So
that's cool.
The ships are rather, quote unquote, simple, so to speak. And now the question is, what kind of power would be used to generate these particular particles? Well, as it turns out, you only need the power of what a theoretical fusion reactor would provide you. And geez, guess what? Lawrence Livermore out in San Francisco has been doing work on fusion, haven't they? With the purpose of trying to build a fusion reactor. Fusion is way better than fission, where you split atoms, because that process can run away like it did in Fukushima, like it did in Chernobyl, like it did at 3 Mile Island. Okay. And we know that the fission reaction makes, radioactive debris that you can't, waste that you can't get rid of. So we bury it in salt mines and barrels that will rot out eventually. So what do? If we use fusion, well, fusion uses fuels. Believe it or not, you can rub one of the fusion fuels on your arm as a white powder, and it doesn't even get through your skin. All right, it's called tritium. So you can actually rub that on your skin. You could inhale it into your lungs, and you'll be radioactive for a period of time, but then you don't accumulate it. It leaves your body as soon as you go to the bathroom, So you'd flush your body with water, and it'll be out. So fusion is way safer than fission. So that's one of the things that's very important to understand,
Oh, definitely. There's so much to it, and there's so many aspects to it. But I just, my head just goes like, this is probably more realistically how we are traveling. How to get to places, because
I would love to say that that's true.
Yeah.
I haven't seen evidence of our race of beings being able to do that. But it's possible that we have, and that they're just not, there we are, the magical they're just
Who's
not
they? Yeah, I know.
Exactly. Who's they, and what study are you citing? Yeah. So, there's all kinds of possibilities. I just wish that it would be a little more obvious. I wish that that people could come on board with the science a little better. They don't even teach proper science in schools anymore. You have to get into a university setting, right?
Yeah.
I had the benefit of having a phenomenal science all the way from 6th grade all the way up until university and beyond. I mean, I was able to have access to beautiful instrumentation. I could do my experiments, do my theses, do my work, and actually do that. And I didn't have money to do that. I had a partial ride because I was a nerd. You don't know that, but I'm a nerd. See, I got my glasses for that.
I'm secretly one too. No,
you are.
I have
You're a
my
secret
master's
nerd
in
too.
mental health therapy, so I get all that. Like, yeah, definitely.
But so the knowledge that comes from that is something that means that I wanted to take it out to the world and show people. I think that this is what's going on. I wrote a book, not about that, but I wrote a book that talks about why we're so visible to alien life. Okay, it's called The Populated Universe. We are absolutely visible to alien life, and that's because we're carbon-based life. Carbon-based makes a lot of sense in the universe. Carbon is one of the most efficient and flexible elements in the entire periodic table. Remember that nasty thing?
Oh yeah.
It turns
We
out it's
forget it.
a
Right?
very important nasty thing, because carbon is the fourth most abundant element in the whole universe. Fourth most abundant. Interesting. 4 dimensions, fourth most abundant. That's pretty cool.
Huh.
Okay.
That's interesting.
And it's the most flexible element. And in order for a carbon-based life to exist, well, it needs to have oxygen. And oxygen isn't the fifth most abundant element in the universe. It's the third most abundant element in the universe. Okay, next to helium and then hydrogen. Hydrogen, the most abundant. So, I think, for instance, that when you talk about looking at life in the universe, you're going to probably be looking for carbon-based life. And therefore, as someone that's carbon-based, you're going to look for beings like yourself. You're going to look out into the universe, and you're going to look for other carbon-based beings. And how are you going to look for them? You're going to look for them because you know they need oxygen. So you're going to look for oxygen in the atmosphere of one of their planets. And our Earth has been a blazing bright blue beacon for 2 billion plus years. And that 2 billion plus years is ago, 2.5 billion, in fact, is when oxygen started to fill our atmosphere. So we've been broadcasting, hey, we're here, there's life. There's no people here, don't worry yet, but, they'll be here in a couple billion years, So that's why we're so obvious. And any race worth its salt doing a large-scale survey of the galaxy, okay, or multiple galaxies, is going to have located us. It just goes without saying. And that's why there's so many craft here that look so different, because there's many different civilizations from different locations in the universe coming here, but they're all using the same technology. Okay. Do you ever notice a UFO is a disc shape? It's like a right? With that round flying saucer shape. Well, that's the perfect shape, because how do they generate these particles? They generate them in particle accelerators. What shape are particle accelerators? Circular. So the outer ring of that UFO is a particle accelerator, generates the particles, surrounds the ship, takes it into the fifth dimension and back. Okay. In the center, the occupants are safe. And the outer ring, well, you could get burned if you get near it. And by the way, that's happened. We've seen evidence of people getting burned when they walk near a UFO. They touch it, it's getting burned. Yeah, and they're getting a burn of a specific type of radiation called synchrotron radiation, because you're curving protons, charged particles, into a circle. And when you do that with a magnetic field, they generate this radiation because they don't like to be forced to move in a circle. It does get deep, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. But I think too, the fact that you've experienced the phenomenon, and that you're able to scientifically take a look at it, there seems to be a blinder between the two. You know what I mean? Like there's looking for meaning, and then an explanation for what's going on. So I think that's that's wonderful that you have both of those.
It's important to do that.
Definitely important. And you're breaking it down in a way, it's starting conversations. I'm even seeing the conversations in chat, and you're doing it in a way that's helping, open that door, because it is intimidating. It really is. Especially, definitely.
And it's hard for people to grasp the concepts, but I think it's really important that people try. And if they make an effort, well, I want to help them make that effort, I want to help them do that. Now, what we do with the remote observatories, I don't charge anybody anything for that. They can join our Patreon if they want and support us. They can donate in our chat, super chat, whatever. I don't mind. I mean, we're paying hundreds of dollars a month for 2 observatory sites we have. And, we have one telescope that's a wide field system and one that's a very narrow field system. And the wide field system shows stunning views of nebulae and locations where life is probably being forged right now. And the other one shows tight views of these things. So, when we look in the universe, this is where we come from. Earth wasn't always here. This was a cloud a solar nebula. Nebula means cloud. Nebula of dirt, debris, dust from previous stellar explosions, and of course some of the elements from the beginning of the universe, namely hydrogen and some helium, oxygen, carbon. And the oxygen and carbon were made in stars. And well, there's a lot of it out there for it to make so many planets and so many potential life forms.
Yeah, that's true too. And I put, for people who don't know, I just put your YouTube channel because you do. I was able to see. I want to find it. I got it lost in the thing, but I was going to pull it up because you do a phenomenal show where you're out and you're explaining. And I joined. You had extended an
You
invitation.
did. I
one day, and
remember
it was
seeing you. You were
phenomenal.
there
Yeah.
once. It was very nice. It was good to see
So
you.
that was what days? Can you tell everybody too? So if they get over there, I have it at STLS is what your YouTube channel is.
Yeah, it's a SkyTour live stream. And SkyTour live stream is it's based on clear nights. So, I'm not gonna end up with a specific night like a radio show. Our
Okay.
radio show looks like it's going to be, I had one on Wednesdays from 8 to 10. And then I'm moving to another network, and that's going to be Sundays 8 to 10, original time frame on the other network. But I think it's important to consider that, for instance, on SkyTour Radio, we talk about astronomy and science in a way that brings everybody in. And sometimes I actually have the telescope live while we're doing the show. And I talk about things that they're seeing on the screen live right in front of them.
Yeah.
This is a whole different way of teaching people science and showing them science. And, the passion is what drives me. And I don't care if I have one viewer or 1,000 viewers. We catch things that, are just amazing, like those objects in the sky. We also were one of 5 groups on the entire planet during a January 2019 full lunar eclipse where the moon was blood red in the sky.
Yeah.
At the height of the eclipse, we saw a meteor hit the moon, and we got it's on our stream.
Wow.
You can see it hit the moon. Yeah, it's a flash. It's a bright white flash at the lower left corner of the moon. And
That's awesome.
I thought it was a video artifact. And then another person in the chat said, "Are you sure it wasn't a meteor strike?" And as I thought about it, I was like, well, a meteor coming in at several tens of thousands of miles an hour and hitting the moon, it's going to go from, massive speed to zero. And that's going to translate to a lot of heat. And you're going to see a bright flash. And that's what we saw. So, yeah, turns out it was an object that was about 18 inches across. And the amount of energy it releases was enough to see from 240,000 miles away. That was pretty cool. That was the neatest thing.
That's awesome. That is awesome to experience when you get to see that. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah,
It
definitely.
makes you realize that there's something bigger out there,
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, yeah. There's a lot of big things out there.
Right. And well, somebody was saying earlier too, that it's hard for them without visual aids to understand some of this stuff. And I told them, if it's okay, or do you have like a way for them to contact you? I said, if they emailed me, that I could email those, that information that you had given me that might help visually, or even to tune into your YouTube channel and kind of see what you're doing.
And I've got over 550 multi-hour streams on YouTube already. I've been doing them for years, and we've seen things that are just phenomenal. And the other thing is, every picture we take is free for the taking. I make them totally available online because we have on our portal site at skytourlive.org, people can go down and say, I want cool pictures. And they go to the database. And we give instructions what to do, and they can go see all the really cool photographs taken literally 30 seconds earlier in some cases.
Wow.
So the stuff goes up as soon as we take the picture, it goes up there.
That's
neat.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're not like, you're sharing the information. You're not just holding it to yourself. That's even
No,
bigger.
I'll
It's like,
give it away because why not?
right. Well, you would think that, but there's certain people there, they don't seem to see that this is like, it's not a one-man job. This is, uniting people across the globe and
It is
understanding.
actually.
So,
It is. I've got viewers in Australia, China, Thailand, Bulgaria, Belgium, South America, Chile. I mean, I got people from all over the world watching, when we come on. And, when we do the night sky, I mean, there's a lot to see. And the thing that we have with this wide field scope, one of the things we can do is we can show people these dark, little tenuous dust clouds. They're all black, made of black dust of carbon and silicon stuff. And what does that mean? It means that this stuff is very cold. And these are little particles covered with ices of various kinds. And this is where life began. This is where life began on Earth, was in these dark clouds. The sun was born out of one of these dark clouds because there was enough hydrogen for it to wink on and start hydrogen fusion. And once it started doing that, the rest of the cloud was warmed up and made these little clumps around the sun as it was orbiting the sun. And next thing you know, you're getting planets forming. And now you end up with Earth after 4.6 billion years of evolution to coming to the point where we are right now, talking about it.
wow.
And just a lot going on, a lot to see on this world.
There is a lot to see in this world. There was a question earlier. I thought it was pretty good question. I didn't want to get past it. What dimension is our soul consciousness? I guess do you think that falls?
That's a really good question, because I do feel a second detached self inside of me, and so I do feel that I'm dual. I'm a dual being. Okay, something looking out from behind these eyes. And that's a really good question. Does it exist in the 4 dimensions, or is it something extra dimensional? And I think I may have an answer. And that answer comes to this. I was doing a talk at a conference, and there was like 800 people in the audience. And when I was out on the stage, I came out and sort of as an icebreaker, and it had nothing to do with my talk. I just wanted to get some scientific data. I said, before I get started, I just have a question. How many of you have friends that you haven't talked to in about 10 years? And when you thought of that friend, the phone rang and it was that friend. Almost every hand went up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Almost every hand. And of course, everybody started laughing. And I said, science wants you to think that's a coincidence, gang.
There are none. Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence. So what does that have to do with? That has to do with another methodology of instantaneous communication between people. And it doesn't matter. You could be anywhere in the universe and get instantaneous communication. This is the basic property of another wonderful characteristic that we've identified at the atomic level currently, known as quantum entanglement.
Yeah, okay.
Quantum entanglement. You can take electrons, separate them from a substance, put them in rooms miles away, and you change something called the spin of one set of electrons over here. And if you take the spin over there and make it go from down to up, you can be assured that the spin of the electrons here is now down. They swap positions. Okay, if you measure it, of course, you can see that that's true. Why did this set of electrons know what this set of electrons was doing across miles? It doesn't. There's something else. There's another dimensional connection that we have yet to understand. And that's what quantum entanglement is. Okay, works for electrons. Well, that's what we found so far. But guess what? It works for the human brain. Because I think that we do quantum entanglement at what I call, and it's a made-up word, the brainular level. I think that our brains can do it. And I think that we actually have the ability to connect, communicate, and send information. So the question is, when you think of your friend, Is it because your friend is thinking of you and you're getting that little beep, 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 Johnny's calling, kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Currently, we use cell phones to communicate. Maybe eventually we'll evolve to the point where our heads are going to do all the work we need to do
I
without
think they
Elon
already
Musk.
can.
They're
As a
open.
mental health therapist, I can tell you that your brain is so sophisticated in the way that it is. I mean, even the neural pathways and how easy it is to manipulate it. I
Oh,
mean,
you're
you're
absolutely right.
talking in the way that it patterns it out. It senses it far before you do. So
That's
I,
right.
without a shadow of a doubt, I
Well,
believe that.
I agree with you, and it's not just theory for me. It's proven because you see me here, you see me moving, you see me everything. I can see perfectly fine. I can walk perfectly fine. But 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. 10 years ago, I was a quadriplegic and I was profoundly blind. Okay. Now, I had surgery that went sideways and my brain was hit by a number of clots that got loose in the operating site, struck my brain, and killed my visual center. I don't have a visual cortex. I can't see technically, but I have almost perfect vision. Okay. Why? Because I fixed my brain. How did I do that? I did that while I was in the coma. And when I was in the coma, I heard the doctor telling my family that I probably wasn't going to make it. I heard them saying he's probably not going to make it, or at best he'll be, literally he said this, at best he'll be a quadriplegic and blind. And I said, don't tell my family that, you idiot. I'm going to be fine. And I knew that I could fix the brain. And so I set about coming up with a plan. And so when I came out of the coma, because I was awake during the coma, which is another thing they don't believe, but I remember all their conversations, so they can't deny it. When I came out of the coma, I said, when I could, learn to talk again, I said, I'm going to be fixing my brain. And the doctor said, well, you're going to be in rehab hospital here for 10 weeks minimum. And then when you're home, you're going to need over a year of recovery to get used to your new condition. And unfortunately, that new condition is that you're probably going to be blind. Your CAT scan shows you had a real heavy attack on your visual cortex. And he said, and you have some clots that lodged in the neck and other places. Again, surgery went wrong. And I told the doctor, and this was June 15th, 2015. I told the doctor, well, then I'm going to walk out of here in just a few weeks. And he's like, look, I've been doing, this is what they always say. I've been doing this 30 years, I blah, blah, blah. And they go on through that. They pull rank or whatever. So anyway, I told the doctor that doesn't work for me because just in September, just 3 months from now, I have to be in Los Angeles speaking at a conference, and so I'm going to be there. And the doctor said to me, do you understand what happened to you? And I reiterated what happened to me. I said, but I'm going to fix it. And he's like, I'm going to have cognitive therapy people come in because he said, I don't think you understand what happened to you.
Oh, they're trying to get you to accept it. Oh boy.
Not gonna. Oh, no, not at all. So anyway, I didn't. They came in. I ran circles around them. I say it that way, but that's what it was. Okay, they had to ask each other if I was correct because they couldn't actually follow their own questions. And they signed off. Yeah, he understands what's going on. And so I set about fixing my eyes first, and I worked on all the rest of my body. That's a whole nother story, another show. And that was on June 15th. And by June 22nd, I could see again. And by July 3rd, I was walking out of that rehab hospital. And I did make that conference in Irvine, California, and I did speak. Okay, in September. So you see, that's what we can all do. And why did I do that? Because the brain is plastic. I know it can be manipulated and changed, like you said.
Yeah,
okay?
no, it can. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
And it did. And it was available. And I had people, when they hear me talking like this, they actually, they'd email me, oh, my husband had a stroke. I don't know. He's all, hands are all curled up. It was 3 months ago. How can he get better? It's like, oh, I'm not a neurologist. But I told this woman, I said, well,
mind over matter.
I can tell you what I did, and let's see if we can work out a way. And so I gave her a way to do it. She didn't want to do it because it meant she had to lie to him and tell him she was going to stab him with a needle in his fingers. Okay. And I had her pushing on his fingers with a needle, and he could see it. And I wanted him to be scared that she was going to stab him. I needed that fear because fight or flight is the other motivator.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Flight or
And when
deer in
you,
headlight. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you put your hand in a candle, you put your finger in a candle, what happens? That you go, well, right? You pull it
Oh, yeah.
out.
Cellular
You're
memory.
not
Yeah,
doing that.
definitely.
Your brain has evolved the mechanism
Mhm.
to take the organism out of a danger, an immediate danger. So here, these needles are an immediate danger in the most sensitive part of your hand. And she did that. And I said, try it and let me know how it works. I'm not a doctor. I didn't, I'm not a medical doctor. I just told her, give it a shot. This sort of thing worked for me. And so I didn't hear from them for 6 weeks. I was out in my observatory in my front yard, that when I used to have one out in the front here, and a nice big dome, talk of the town. And I got my co-host on the stream said, "Hey, Mark, there's a doctor here from Texas that wants to talk to you." Oh, okay. Hey, doc, how you doing? And he wrote in all caps, "Everything you said came true. I got my life back." He was a
Wow.
dentist, and he needed his hands, and they were all curled up.
Oh,
Usually, they
wow.
tell you if you've had a stroke. Now, mine weren't strokes; they were clots, but the same thing.
Mhm.
Okay. When you have a stroke and things happen, you get like 1 month. They say if it's not back after a month, it ain't coming back.
Yeah. No, I
You
had
know?
neck surgery. So I had 2 discs replaced in my neck, and when I woke up, I had lost my whole right side.
Mhm.
And then it was like they said, like, 2 you have 2 years on the curve. Did not get it back. Infection after infection. It wasn't until I came in contact with the UFO that I, had my like, everything's been restored plus. But
Yeah.
it really was I took
You
the
just
whatever
you just needed
jolt they gave me to get me going on that
yeah,
path.
you just needed someone to tell you that your brain can be manipulated, and that worked. And one of my other co-hosts, a similar problem, and lost balance. And I suggested to him he try a couple of things that were very, very scary, because he felt like he could fall down. And I said, actually, that's good because the brain has to go into overdrive. It has to go into that mode to really try to make sure that it can fix the problem. It's going to have to go into that mode. You're going to have to enter the fear zone, for this. He did it, and he said nothing for several weeks. And I mentioned this very story I just told you, and he says, "Yeah, it helped me too." What? Yeah, it fixed my problem. Holy cow! It didn't even tell me. It would have been nice to know.
Right.
So it's all. And I know this show is about other things that we're talking about,
No,
but
no, 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 we go into the unknown. We're taking the journey into the unknown.
no, it's
I like to
definitely
cover,
unknown.
yes.
Definitely unknown.
I like to give people give them and let them come to their conclusions. It's
Yeah,
really
I mean,
starting a journey. You can't tell anyone how to think or
yeah, and the thing is, I was nominated to do a TED talk on brain healing because the doctor that actually operated on me, who actually saved my life. I have nothing against this guy; he's fantastic. Um, he even wrote me a long letter saying, you figured out where these copious spare parts are in the human brain, and you use them to fix yourself. And I said, yeah, but everybody can do this. It's not just Marc D'Antonio, And so I set about trying to prove that too. So it's important. And I said I would do the TED talk if the entire audience could be all neurologists. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to talk to neurologists because neurologists were saying at best he's going to be a quadriplegic and blind. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I got news for you, pal. There's more that we can do with our brains than you even give us credit for. So I
That's so
haven't done that.
true.
I
That's
haven't done
and
that
I was
talk yet.
believing it though, what you're saying, like, when they were telling me, like, "You're not gonna get any better. We don't have explanations for this." As soon as I got into that mindset, I honestly about gave up, I think, on life until, like I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. And it's a good thing you didn't because there's no reason at all for you to give up when you have uh, so much at your disposal to fix things, and that's where I come from. Yeah, I'm a solution guy, right? I want to find solutions. So it's really important to find solutions. And if they can help other people, that's fantastic, you know? Um, and, I think it's important to make sure that, you understand I did this from a perspective of science and evolution. Okay. The brain has evolved to keep the organism out of danger, like I said. So if it's going to keep you out of danger, it means it's going to react in a way that's going to help you survive. So if you can scare yourself.
No, you're right. You're right.
I know fight or flight is one methodology. For me, the brain also tries to keep you from having pain, right? So for me, whenever people touched me, when they would grab my hand because I couldn't move it and they move it or whatever, it felt like molten lava. It felt like they were burning me alive.
Nerve pain.
And there's something about that. And it was just horrible, So I actually embraced that and said, that's how it's going to fix itself. I said, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Pushing past that pain. Oh boy, can I feel it?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, light a match and hold it there and say, yep, I'm doing this. And no, you're not gonna. So I asked the nurse, but if you can't move out of the way. So I literally told the nurse, put a rubber ball in my hand and squeeze my fingers around it. And then set my arm down in front of me. And then go out on your rounds. In other words, leave me alone with a burning, molten magma ball in my hand. As soon as she did it, I regretted it immediately, and I wanted her to stop, and I just kept my mouth shut. Okay. She walked away, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? What have I done? And, of course, I passed out from the pain a lot. And I woke up, and I'd been working on my eyes, and now I could see colors, and I saw this red thing near the middle when I felt like my hand was probably to the left because I couldn't really tell, couldn't feel it. So I thought, is that my hand there? And then I realized, no, I think that's the ball there. I think that's my hand. The other pink thing over here is my hand. And when the nurse came back in, I said, her name was Linda. I said, Linda, did the ball fall out of my hand? Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Scruffy. That's what she called me because I hadn't shaved in weeks. I said, can you put it back? And she did. She put it back in my hand. The pain was immediate. And guess what? My hand went like that. It went, and it threw the ball into my lap. And I smiled and I looked up at Linda, again with my eyes because I couldn't move my head yet. I said, hey, Linda, guess what? I'm a paraplegic, not a quadriplegic. Yay. Little victories.
That's you got to. I remember throwing a ball and it literally dropped maybe a foot in front of me. And I felt like
no strength.
But you're right. Yeah, no strength. To rebuild that strength and push past that. How did you keep and I love the psychological aspects of things, obviously coming from when I was a mental health therapist for 7 years. So in my blood. But how did you push past and keep a positive mindset through all this?
I knew the outcome. I knew that I was going to be okay. And I knew I had faith in science. I had faith in the human body. And I had faith in evolution. And I ended up making sure that I was able to stay positive. I wasn't positive the whole time. I mean, you got to understand, everybody has their breaking point.
Oh, yeah.
When you're feeling like your hand is in molten lava, you just want to give up sometimes. But I knew, I kept saying no, and I gritted my teeth, and I couldn't tell I was gritting my teeth, by the way, because I couldn't feel that yet.
Right.
And I said, there's an outcome here. I'm going to walk out of this hospital and I'm going to do that talk in September. I kept thinking that. So this MUFON conference, not keynote, but the main speaker talk was the thing that drove me. And I said, I'm going to be there. I'm going to do this.
Such an important aspect of it too. Always plan something you're excited for. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that goal drives you through the pain. And let me tell you, the happiest day of my life was when I could actually touch things and not feel burning pain, because the brain fixed that. Now, there's a problem, though. Once the brain fixes it, it relaxes a little and says, okay, no more pain. I don't have to work as hard. And now you're kind of in that netherworld where the brain's saying, are we good enough? Are we good enough, or do we got to do more? And I'm saying, you got to do more. You got to do more.
Yeah, we're going all the way.
I don't want to drag my left foot behind me. You got to fix that too. And so it takes longer once you get the critical core back. Once you can move around, get everything moving again and see again. I have this tiny little defect in my vision that doesn't affect anything, but it's still there. Why is it not gone? Why didn't you fix that, Mark? It's not up to me. The brain said, we can live with this. This is okay. And so, all right. And my left foot is numb and my left calf are numb. But does it matter? No. The brain says we can still walk. We can still run. Yes, it looks clumsy, but we can still do it. Okay. So
Right?
it turns out, that it doesn't matter. The brain says we're good enough. And the brain does do that. The brain says, okay, I've repaired enough. I'm not going to feel like I have to repair anymore. So that was cool.
And you just were, yeah. See, I was not like, it was devastating. Like, I roller skate. I'm very competitive. I'm like, but I'm telling you, like, to think that it was, if you start to believe it, and I was, because I wasn't getting any better. I just remember that nerve pain, and it went all the way my arm, my leg, even when, because I had to learn how to walk again. I couldn't even hold a spoon to feed myself.
Me too.
I was like, it was horrible. It was horrible. I had a neck brace for like a year, a hard neck brace, and I'm like, this is the lowest, like, point in my life. But
I get it. And
so I have a lot of respect that you pushed past that. I mean, that is a lot.
I gotta tell you something. I was on a walker. I had made my way into the hospital hallway. I went 10 feet and I was exhausted. So I stopped and I was really feeling sorry for myself. 10 feet. My eyes weren't there where I could see down the hall all the way yet. And there was a kid in a wheelchair that had to breathe for him in the hallway, just out there just so he can watch whatever. Traumatic brain injury. He's never getting better. And he's waiting for a breath. And he says, keep up the good work. You're doing great. I mean, that's
awesome.
That's just like, oh man. And I started to immediately feel like, why am I feeling sorry for myself? I went over, I gave him a hug, kind of clumsy. And to this day, whenever I go in a hospital elevator or whatever for a checkup or whatever, any elevator, if there's someone who's handicapped in there, you know how you do this? People don't look at the handicapped person.
Oh,
I get in their face, say, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah.
I love your hat. And then people go, oh, he's talking to the handicapped person.
I know.
And
people
they
are
love
like
it.
that.
They love being treated like real people, for crying out loud. I was one of them for a period of time. I know what it feels like. And, you say, wow, so this is what it looks like from the inside, and I felt immediately embarrassed for how I had treated people like that in the past, because, growing up, I wasn't the nicest person to handicapped kids or whatever. I never did that, but I did learn a lesson, a really hard lesson. And then I saw them as people finally. It was beautiful, really beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And I taught my son that too. I'm like, you don't, there's some people, and I respect that. They're like, no, I got it. I want to do it for myself. And I'm like, hey, good for you. I've been there. And I just telling you, if you need a helping hand right now, I'm here to give you one. You want a little bit of a break? Let me help you out. But they are people. Yeah, you're right. It should not happen, but it unfortunately it does.
Yeah, they're all human beings. And the thing is that I think that one of the things that people don't realize is that they want to interact with people. They want to talk with people. And, they feel so isolated sometimes, and why? Because someone won't talk to them. Because why? They're imperfect.
Right.
Show me perfection in the human race. Okay. Yeah, it's not really out there. So
right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic altogether. But still, it just changes your outlook when you're in that situation too. But anyway, they're good. They're all beautiful people.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't make any, that's, just because your route through life didn't impair, doesn't make you any better or any, more important in this world. That's for sure.
I agree with that. 1,000%.
Very true. Yes. Yeah. And then you have it. So I think that's wonderful. I mean, like, Mark, that says so much about you and your personality and about your work that you're doing. I mean, that takes so much. I mean, I'm almost getting like emotional even talking about it, because I know and I can't imagine I didn't face it as hard as you did. but I know what it takes to get
Well,
back to
you
the
were
point, and
kind of
it's
there.
like,
You know what that feels like. Um, and you know what it's like to be infirmed and feel like, oh no, is this going to be how I am forever?
yes, yeah,
You
and I had a
know?
child, like, saying, "This isn't fair to my
Mhm.
child, I can't even go play outside with him, and I'm just in all this
Exactly.
pain, all th my hand
Yeah.
was so swollen, like, I mean, it was yeah, I and then they tell
I
you,
know.
like,
Yeah.
"You're not gonna get any better. You're not you've the curve is already passed. If you
Yeah.
would have
That's
gotten," you
that's
know?
what that's what they were saying to me. They were saying that you're probably not going to get much better. Um, and I said, well, probably means that I might, right?
Yeah. Good for
And
you,
he's
'cause
like,
I was starting to believe it. I was like, "I think they're right, I'm not getting any better."
and he's like, yeah, well, um, I guess it's possible, but and then of course, like I said, they do what I call pulling rank. But I've been doing this for 30 years, and we've once you reach this certain point, it is what it is. Okay, well, I literally I said this to one of the doctors when I started to see results from what I was doing. I said, well, prepare to have your world thrown upside down, man. And one of
Yeah.
them was the eye doctor at the rehab place because he looked at my CAT scans and MRIs. My visual center is all black. There's nothing there anymore.
Oh.
And he basically said to me, he goes, well, he said, well, I don't know how to tell you, but I think you know. And he was, I forget where he's from. He goes,
Indian?
yeah, yes, exactly. He goes, but you had a very bad assault to your visual cortex, and I think that you know that. And I said, okay, I said, is great doctor. Okay, he really was. I said, Doc, I think you need to understand that I'm going to see perfectly. And he was like, oh, well, I can't deny there have been some miraculous type things that have happened, but uh, you'll have to really work at it to do something. I said, I'm working on it already. I said, when do I see you again? He said, 3 days. You come back in 3 days. Okay. 3 days later, I came in and I said to him when he sat me in a chair, because I was in a wheelchair, I couldn't move yet. I was
Oh,
working
yeah,
on my eyes.
I'm gonna bust out. Blazer decided what was it at the Quickie Mart. I was like, I got him, yeah.
Bapu, bring me a Slurpee. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Sorry, I didn't
Uh,
mean to interrupt you, but I was holding it back. I had no.
I
Oh
know.
my
Sorry.
god.
But I reiterate, the man was really, really a good man. I'll tell you why. So I ended up going back after 3 days. I sat in the chair, and he said, well, "How are you doing today?" And I said, "Well, I've been working on my eyes. Have you? What have you been doing?" "Well, I'm actually working with my eyes to try and see better." I said, "Can you put up the eye chart?" "What?" Oh, okay. And he got very depressed because he knew that bad news was coming, right? He's not gonna be able to see. He's thinking, but what do I do?
Oh,
That's what he's thinking. He puts
trying
up
to
the eye
prepare you
chart.
for it.
Yeah, and the eye chart, I couldn't see it, but what I could see was the white square. Okay, that was the illuminator for the black lines of eye stuff, the writing. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I can see the white square, but you see the white square?" "Yeah, I see the white square, but I don't see anything." "How do you see the white square?" "Yeah, I see the white square. There's the white square. You see this? You see this thing?" "Yes, I see it." And I'm hearing writing really furiously. Okay, and I go, "Listen," I go, "you have to understand what I'm doing." Okay, every time I stare at something with these eyes that aren't working, the eyes work great. The retinal nerves work great. The optic nerves are perfect, but they're dead ending in the brain. And when they dead end in the brain, it's like somebody stabbing me in the head with knives and twisting them.
Oh
Okay.
gosh.
The pain is so bad that I was initially sitting with my eyes closed the whole time. And even that wasn't enough. Okay. I thought I was going to have to wear ultra blackout masks for the rest of my life. And
Oh
then I
gosh.
realized I can fix this. So what I did was, and I told him, I stared at my computer screen that the nurse put up and put a show on Netflix on. She picked Seinfeld. I hate Seinfeld, but I had to deal with it. Okay. And I could hear the sound initially. And guess what? I actually saw the shape of the screen before my eyes could see, using the heat coming from the perimeter. My brain built an image of the
Mm.
screen. which is interesting. So it kind of lends credence to the fact that other senses take over and improve when you lose some other main senses. So I was able to not see, but sense where the screen was based on the heat coming from it. Well, anyway, I stared at the screen, and the whole time it's like needles and stabbing me in the head as I'm opening my eyes really wide. And then we have the laptop screen is right here in front of me. It's this far from my face. And I'm staring at the screen, and I can't see anything. It's sort of a mishmash. I kind of know what blind people see, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
And then now the brain is, here's how what's the brain's doing at the other end of that? The brain is saying, this is painful. I got to figure out how to fix this. This is not good. This is not good. We have to fix this. This is stop looking at it. Stop. I gotta figure this out. It's like the finger in the candle. The brain worked out a way to pull your hand out of the candle, right? When it's too hot in your finger, when you get burned or stabbed by something, So I will tell you, when I stared at that screen, there was this magical point where that quick, pow, I saw shadows. The brain had found a workaround for some of the neurons that had been damaged. Not all yet. And I saw shadows. I saw a taller shadow and a shorter shadow and a shorter shadow. I think this was Kramer. I think this was Jerry. And I think this was, what's his name? The short guy there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
I forget his name. Anyway. So I kept staring at the screen. And then it took another 2 or 3 hours for the brain to start to put color in there and add definition. But again, I had tears coming down because my eyes were so stressed. I had a migraine like I've never felt in my life. It was painful. And I was thinking the whole time, people aren't going to do this. This is just impossible. I'm a weirdo. Okay, who's going to subject themselves to this kind of pain? I said, but this is what works. This does it. We have the tools. So as I kept thinking that. So I
thank you, Terrence.
I kept thinking that it was going to work out. I'd be able to see. So I ended up. That third day came, and I went back to the doctor. He sat me in a chair. Okay. And the eye chart was already up. he remembered, he read his notes, and he's now anxious to see what he got for me today. Okay. And he said, well, can you see the eye chart? And I said, yeah, is the top line APEOTF? What? Yes, that's right. That's what it was. And he's making all this ruckus. Okay, and I can sort of see him now. He's like, how do you did that? That's right. That's exactly what it seems. He says, this never happened. I don't know how you're doing. I told you how I'm doing this. Okay, I'm stimulating the brain in a way that makes it take corrective action. Okay, and he's writing furiously and say, okay, I'll tell you exactly what's going on, and this is what you should tell people. Okay, just because they can't see doesn't mean they won't ever see. Yeah. You just have to make sure that you find the right combination of stimuli that cause the brain to react in a way that makes it think it's in pain or in fear. Okay. And if you do that, the brain is going to naturally try to remove the organism from danger or fix the problem.
Yes.
I couldn't move. I was forced to stare at the screen. And I could have closed my eyes, but I did not. In much as the brain
so true. We're made to adapt. I was just talking to Bigfoot Michigan Rob about this. We were talking how things we're built to survive. That's there. That's definitely true.
That's right. And so, what it comes down to in the end is you have to allow yourself to overcome what it takes to push past that comfort zone. Because your conscious comfort zone is way less than what the brain can tolerate. Okay, the brain will keep you out of danger. The brain will keep you from literally burning your finger off in a candle. Yeah. All right, but it'll also will keep you from having your vision cause massive migraines in your head. It'll work out how to fix that. And so that's exactly what happened. And that's the crux of it, right? It's
Yes.
sort of a weird. I know we weren't. This is what we're going to be talking
No, but this
about,
is
but
right up my alley. I probably, this is really right. I find this stuff so fascinating. I have no
I
idea.
actually didn't know, but I'm pleased. So the thing to me is that um, the brain healing is something that everybody can do. Yes, I'm an astronomer. All right, I wanted to look at my stars again. I wanted to do my talks at conferences around the country.
Yeah. Oh, because
Um,
you had all of this before where you were into this, and to thought, oh wow,
yeah, I
to think
thought I'd
that you
never
could
see the
never do
sky
it
again,
again.
possibly, and boy, oh boy, did that
Oh.
really not set
And
well
I
with
thought
me.
I couldn't roller skate again. That's
Yes.
exactly the feeling I had. Yes, I
See,
get that.
you found your motivator. See, that's the
Mhm.
motivation. And when you think you may not, if you say to yourself, I will not, then you won't.
Right.
But if you say, I'm going to do that again, the doctor, when I July 2nd rolled around and he walked in, and when he walked in, I could see him. Okay.
Oh,
Literally
wow.
from June 15th to July 2nd, literally just 2.5 weeks or so. Um, he walked in, I could see him, and I was standing next to my bed. Okay, and he says, "Wow, you've made some tremendous progress." And I said, "I told you how it works." And I was very nice to him. He was trying to do his best with what he knows, right? I made that clear. I said, I know you're doing your best, but what I did is something that anyone can do. I said that over and over to him. And he goes, well, I think we're going to try to use some of those techniques. And I think I'll come back and teach them if you want me to. Okay. Because I don't want people to think that they're just never going to be able to,
Yeah, because you lose
recover.
that hope, then that's it. There's
Yeah.
no more. Yeah.
And I mean, there's times when hope doesn't matter, like traumatic brain injury. If something is
Mhm.
fully disconnected, there's no way to reconnect it. There isn't. You can't cut off your hand and say, well, I hope that hand will grow back. I'm going to hope, and it's not going to grow back. So there are practical limitations to that. But you do have control over how the brain is wired. And I
Yep.
said this to a bunch of neurology people at one point. I said, listen, we don't need neurologists. We need biological electricians, because that's what we're talking about, is generating electrical signals to move the muscles, to move the hands. We need biological electricians. Neurology, it encompasses the wrong thing in some
I agree.
cases.
I agree.
So, hey,
But they should know. I mean, it's very to rewire the brain. I mean, when that happens, it is possible. It is very possible.
oh yeah, it is. And
We do it
I
all the
mean, if
time.
I'm any example of it, I guess that's true. I mean, I don't have any problem uh, explaining to people that we have, you know, uh, certain ways to heal, and there's certain things that can't be healed, you know. But I'm okay with trying to do as much as we can in our
Yeah.
human form, right?
And then beat all medical odds. That's pretty. I always say, like, I have my medical records that show it, and I attribute so much of it to ET, because if they didn't give me that boost, and I didn't have, it was like somebody like electrocuted me. Is the only way I can describe it.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I guess I should, because it does fill out why I was so confident I was going to get better. Um, when I was having the surgery, I was taken out of my body and in a whole nother place, and
Oh yeah.
I was being rude and crude to the people that took me. They were Native American ancestors. I likened them to my mother's ancestors. She was Passamaquoddy Native
Oh, that
American and
makes sense.
Irish.
Yeah, you have the Irish and the Native American.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, and Italian on the other side. So 3 of the worst drinking habits, and I don't even drink.
Well, every single experiencer that has come across that experiences it this way has the Irish and the Native either or
Yeah,
both. Like, then you have
yeah.
both. Yeah, that explains it.
But when I was taken out of the hospital, and could it have been a hallucinogenic dream of anesthesia? Maybe. But I will say that during that time, the Native Americans in that, I called it a vision at the time, said that you're going to be okay, and you know it. Okay, you know you're gonna be okay, right? And I was like, well, I don't know that. I mean, I said, who the F are you people? I was all mad. And you got to get me. What am I doing out of here? I'm supposed to be in surgery, blah, blah, blah. So they said, you got to follow our lead. So they had me, it looked like the New Mexico desert. Okay. Beautiful sunset, but it was getting dark and gray and dank. And it really felt foreboding. And I noticed a beautiful sunset. I couldn't move. I was a rag doll. I could just look with my eyes, and I saw this beautiful sun being covered by this dark mass. Okay, I thought, as an astronomer, what was that, an eclipse? What am I looking at? Is that an eclipse? The moon that's going in front of the... No, it's amorphous shaped. So again, I didn't know what to do with it. And then the kid walks over. I could draw his face. I thought I was being abducted, to be honest with you, by people. It was as real as our talking right now. Mm-hmm. And as I was sitting there, he came over and he put a big handgun in my lap. And I said, oh, what are you trying to do? Tease me? You're going to kill me and leave me in the desert? And he goes, no. He says, you need to use that. I said, I can't use it. I can't even move, you dumb F.
Right?
They basically called him all
Anger
kinds of
is
names.
needed for change. Anger is needed for change. You have to get angry to change.
Yes. Well, anyway, he said, no, it's a symbol. All right. You need to shoot at that thing in the sky. And I said, why? It's a gun. How's it going to reach that? Where is it? He says, just follow our lead. And then they started shooting. There was a woman that's always stayed out of my view, and then him. And they started shooting at this thing. Now I'm thinking this is a wild ass dream. Okay. And so I just started saying bang, 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 bang. And little flakes were coming off. So it's like actually happening. I was like, this is kind of weird, you know? So I said it more times than I've ever said it. And then it was a beautiful New Mexican sunset again. All right. And he came over, and this was the first time I saw he had teeth. He was smiling, big grin, put his arm around me and said, you are going to be all right. You know that, right? And I went, I don't know. He goes, you're going to be fine. And he just started walking away. And there I am.
Where are you going? Yeah, no. Right.
Take me back. That's what I yelled at him.
You'll find your way.
Yeah,
No
and then the
problem.
woman said something. It was Navajo that she was speaking. I've since started learning Navajo because I wanted to figure out what it was she said. Okay. She said something in Navajo, what she really said. And I said, what did she say? And he looks back at me and he goes, she thinks you're pretty dense. I go, what do you mean? And he looks at me, shakes his head. He goes, you never left.
Oh,
What?
wow.
And pow.
You're back.
I woke into the coma. Okay. And I was like, what the heck? And I thought, that was very weird. But I do feel very confident that I was going to be fine. And then I heard the doctors then during the coma saying I was going to be a quadriplegic and blind. And that's when I was saying, yeah, no, stop telling them that. I'm going to be fine. Because I knew. I just had the knowledge. It was so cool. And then, of course, the following, stuff all happened. And I ended up, being just fine. So what does that all mean? Did the vision really happen, or was that just a hallucinogenic anesthesia dream? Could have been, right? However, when the doctor came in, he came to talk to me. He says, yeah, hi, we operated. Can you feel me touching your leg? And I couldn't move to nod yes or no. He said, well, blink once for yes, twice for no. And I blinked twice. No, I can't feel it. Oh, okay. He says, well, we were able to fix what was the problem, but there was a clot that got away from us from the surgical site. And unfortunately, it raced to your brain. He said, however, he said, if there's a silver lining out of this, he goes, the reason you're still with us and not, because we agreed to talk man-to-man science, me astronomer, him surgeon. And he said, the only reason you're still here, he goes, is because for some reason it broke up into millions of pieces and went into the brain rather than going as one large lump. And I knew exactly what that was. That was the gunshots.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what? I was thinking, now at that time I had a trach. Okay, so he couldn't hear anything, but he heard because I was breathing so fast. Like, oh, I know what that was.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of weird. That was one of those weird things. So just when you think, well, maybe it was just an anesthesia dream, it turns out maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I know that. I mean, I have many Native friends, and they're very good people. I know many Navajo, a couple Navajo. I know people from the Zunis and stuff, and they're all good people, and they believe all this stuff without even asking questions,
Yeah.
and that kind of bothers me. It's like, shouldn't you be asking more questions about this? Find out if this is real or not. I mean, don't just accept stuff. It might not be true. It might have been a weird dream. Anyway, but so
Wow. Well, I've had weird stuff in anesthesia where I came out and they were so shocked. I knew the nurses' names. I knew I thought that the situation was different, but there's not a doubt in my mind when you're going down those levels of those links. That
yes,
you don't come
and
in contact.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. People know what's going on in the room, even though that's why when I told them that when I was in the coma, I could hear them talking and I relayed conversations. They had the nerve to say to me, "Well, you just heard what people were talking about afterwards."
Mm-mm.
No, I remember you specifically saying, "At best, I'll be a quadriplegic and blind," word for word. That's what you said, and I heard my family gasping over there at what you were saying, and I was thinking, "Stop telling them that. I'm going to be fine." So, that's pretty specific.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember them saying that too. They're like, she won't remember. She's in so much pain, and they're saying all I'm like, well, you would why you act like I can't hear you? I
I
don't
know.
remember every bit
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
like, I'm here. Hello, right here. I'm
Yeah. But I
here.
guess that's the way I don't know the
Right
way
in
it's
front of
supposed
you.
to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, man, maybe I wasn't under. I had a little bit of a fear. I'm like, you heard those cases where they
Oh,
put you
yeah.
under, but not far enough, and you just can't tell them. I was like, oh gosh. After that,
Yeah.
it was. But yeah, no, it definitely, there was definitely something to it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Well, luckily you didn't have that condition.
Can you imagine how that would be?
No, I don't want to imagine that. That would be
No,
that'd
yeah,
be
like out of
awful.
my head. Like, yeah, if I ever
Yeah,
need to,
that'd be awful.
that
Yeah.
terrified me. That
Yeah.
terrified me. But there's
Wow.
so much to this world and all of this. And I mean, just I am so I taken back, Mark, by all that you have overcome. Like, this is I mean, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And that pain that you push through, huh?
That was hard.
Oh my, I can't.
That
It
was
just,
hard. That was
I'm
hard.
like, wow.
Yeah, that was hard. And the thing is, I realize I'm saying you got to push through the pain if it happens to you. But this is what it looks like on the other side of that. Look at, I mean, I can do all the things I used to do.
Crazy. I could never
Okay.
feel. It got to the point and my thumb was numb. It used to drive me crazy. I'm like, oh, the first time that I could feel again, I was like, I can feel that.
Yeah.
I would have a styrofoam. I couldn't even have styrofoam cups or anything because it pop right through it. And
Oh,
it was
yeah, because you
just
didn't have a good handle
no,
on
I
it. Yeah.
didn't. But then it went to the nerve pain, and I had to get through that nerve,
Yeah,
that
that hurts.
prickly, and then I broke my thumb on top of it, and then I was like, oh, but I did it. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah. When your foot falls asleep and you step on it, it's like, ouch, that hurts. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my left foot is like that 24/7. And that's the one holdover. That's the one thing that didn't get fixed. And again, the brain said, we've done enough. We got enough. We're good. And so it just says, all right, I'm done. Don't ask me to do any more.
Yeah.
All the critical stuff got done. The one thing it did for me was it was able to take that very difficult pain every time you walk in the ball of your foot, feeling those pins and needles sticking you.
Yeah.
It took those away. So right now, and at times it feels like the foot's not even there, but it's a brain engineered workaround to keep those pins and needles away. So the brain figured that out too, because it decided, well, maybe I should address this one more thing. Yeah.
Well, that's because that is a lot. I mean, every time you step down, people don't understand. I'm like, every time I went to go for a door, it was my right hand too. Every single time that bumped something, it was like, whoa,
Exactly.
it hurts. And I'm glad that. Are you out of pain then, or do you still have some of that chronic pain that?
No,
carried through? No.
no,
Wow.
I don't have pain.
I'm
It's all
so
gone.
happy for you, Mark. I
No,
really
well, no,
am.
it's
But you're a
well, it means
warrior.
I can do my astronomy and do my stuff. I just got back from Arizona. I was administering a change to one of our observatories. I was actually I walked in there and I said to my CFO who was with me, I said, "Hey, what if I pull the computer desk away and there's another tarantula under there?" And we laughed. I pulled it away and there was.
Of
So
course.
I picked it up. I put it in my hand. They're very docile. Okay. And they don't bite. You know, they will. They have 3/4 inch fangs. They could do some damage, but they're not venomous. So I put this one on my hand and I said, "Come on, hold it. You want to hold it?" She said, "No, no, no." I said, "Here." I gave her a rag. She covered her hand with a rag and put the tarantula on. It's like this. You know,
I go
well,
for a shoe.
well, the thing is, they're messy if you crush them. You know,
The
they're
fear
this
sets in,
big.
Mark. I go for the
They're
shoes. Yeah.
pretty big.
Oh,
But in this particular case, this one was dead. I
the
didn't,
best kind.
I didn't
Not
tell her.
except for spider bite and chat, but the best kind.
Yeah. No, I'm okay with creatures. And I didn't. You know, we have a lot of rattlesnakes out there. This is in the Sonoran Desert, west of Phoenix, by about 80 miles.
Okay. My
So we
sister lives
have
in Scottsdale. My brother
that's
lives
site
out there.
number one. Number two site is in Benson, 220 miles away from that one.
Oh, wow.
Higher altitude. So there's a lot going on. I'm looking at other sites too. You know, we got one potential site at 7,500 foot altitude in southwest Colorado.
Iowa could use one, Mark.
Huh? Oh yeah, Iowa,
We need one
yeah.
here in Iowa.
I've looked at the light pollution in Iowa, and it's pretty dismal.
It is too. It is we talk about the light pollution all the time, and
Yeah.
it definitely impairs some things. But I'm
Well,
out in the country, like in the middle of nowhere.
mhm,
So, but it's still with the farmland and stuff around. The lights
mhm.
go on. Yeah, it definitely
Well,
does.
I've had so many people say, and not to say that that's what you're saying, but so many people said, "Oh, I live out in the middle of nowhere. The skies are beautiful." Well, you're actually not in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of somewhere, and that somewhere is usually near big cities. So the big
Mhm.
cities light overwhelms you. You just don't realize it's there. You do have better skies than in the city. There's no doubt about it. But it's still problematic. So I'm on the hunt for dark sky. I did a documentary with a New Zealand film crew last night here, and they said, "Oh, we've got to get you to come down to Australia." He goes, you know, I said, "Well, I want to put a telescope in Australia. I've never seen the southern sky." "Oh," I said, why don't we do a show, all right, about finding dark sky? And we'll call it Seeking the Dark or something like that. He says, "Oh, I really like that idea. Let's see if we can do it." You know, so who knows if that's going to happen?
Through
But
navigating through the night. Yeah, I like
yeah,
it. I like it.
yeah, navigating for the dark and navigating into the dark, whatever. I mean, a lot of ways you can do it,
Bump
but
into the dark. No, yeah, no.
exactly,
That's
bump
cool
into
though. It's
things
a cool
and
concept.
fall off the
Because I
cliff in
said
the dark.
everything in the dark, you know, it's where you start.
That's where life started. Life began in the
Mhm.
dark, and so I'm very attracted to the dark. I've never been afraid of the dark. You know,
Yeah, me neither.
the only time I was
I'm not afraid of the supernatural usually like or things like that. It's like the spiders or the snakes that got
oh
me.
yeah,
But
well, you
yeah,
know,
that's awesome.
paranormal stuff can be frightening sometimes. Like when we did I mentioned this before we started. I think we did a Discovery Plus show called Alien Invasion Hudson Valley, and I was one of 3 cast members. And we went to a house that was haunted in Torrington, Connecticut, literally 20 minutes from here. And I knew the people; they're very nice, and they had weird things happening. So we set up cameras and stuff all night long, and we did have doors opening and closing right in front of us. Right. And then the woman said, "My grandson sees a certain creature that lives in the house, and this is his name." And she writes it down. She says, "Don't say that name."
Oh no.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." And when I walked away, my first thought was, "Yeah, I don't buy this." And I said the name. I don't think it's real. As I'm walking across the living room floor, this is on camera. My feet froze to the carpet. I couldn't move. Like, what the heck's going on? I tried to move. I couldn't move. and I felt tingling going up my calves all the way up my body. When it reached my neck, I said, okay, you're real. And it went away just like that.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. We
So
used to have them lock us in this church we went into, and I'd be like, not until I told it couldn't lock us in there could we get that lock. I mean, it was like one of in the late 18, or excuse me, the 1800s, but it was one of those turns. Like every
yeah,
single time, there's no reason. But yeah, it does. That's funny. You have to take authority. You have to
yeah,
take.
and it was interesting because I never expected this to happen. I didn't expect what was going on. And I usually, they said, okay, who wants to go down into the dirt floor basement with a camera, an infrared camera, and sit down there for an hour? I said, I'll do it. I'm not afraid. I just rushed right down. Let's go see what's going on.
Oh yeah,
Walked in,
that'd be me too.
walked into all the nooks and crannies, opened cabinets, doors, looked through them, turned my back on the wall, and turned my back on the door, and then turned around quickly to see if anything was happening. I don't have any fear of that stuff. But I did fly one of my drones over the property in a previous visit, and I discovered that the property was built on a previous built location. And it turns out it might be a Native American or indigenous burial ground.
Oh.
Yeah, so there might be some crossover links
Yeah, I kinda get this
to
more
that.
than you understand. Yes, no,
Yeah.
and that's
So
always the burial grounds. Yes, I know.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think because no one else had any encounters with any creatures in the house like that,
Mhm.
but with my native heritage, I thought maybe they were just slapping me in the face saying, "Hey, you jerk, pay attention."
Yeah, I was told out here that there's some cursed land and there's something really bizarre that goes on, and I don't know. That's probably the only thing that I'm afraid of when it comes to the paranormal is something like a creature like that, but
Yeah. Well,
ugh.
having Navajo friends, we talk about the creatures called skinwalkers a lot. And there's a show called Skinwalker Ranch, and Travis launches his
Mhm.
rockets and all. You know, they can't ever find anything or the show's over, right?
Right. Sorta.
Um, so I'm talking to a FLIR scientist and inventor, and we're trying to come up with a methodology to figure out what's going on out there without being invasive, without wanting to have cameras, without wanting to be on TV. You know, I have enough television stuff that I do. If you want to see me, you can watch me on History Channel. Every night when it's on, Proof is Out there. I'm their chief photo and video analyst. So all the cases that come in, I get a chance to talk about them. So
Yeah.
I mean, if people want to see that kind of stuff, it's out there. I've done that. But when you're trying to actually solve a real mystery, you don't want to have cameras in the way and shoot footage because it's going to be good for camera. Okay, you want to do science, all right? So if you find something excellent, then you can shoot the footage and talk about what you found. But don't think you're going to do it dynamically.
Mm-mm.
No, it's not how it works.
It is not how it works. You're
It's not
exactly
on your
right.
they're not on your time frame.
Nope. You're right. And it's not on your command either. It's so
No,
true.
that's
And
right.
anytime I'm like, we're going out, it never happens that way. It never happens
No,
that
it doesn't.
way. As
Not
much
on
as
their
you'd like
not on
to,
that
it
time
always
frame.
catches you off guard. And I think it's by design, it's
Yeah, I
we're
think that could be true. Yep. I'm with you.
yeah.
So, yeah. So
Wow.
so there's a
You're a
kind of
fascinating person, Mark. You've got so many different I had no idea you had all these layers to
well,
you. I'm just
don't you think that that's just because I'm bored?
No, I think it's because 'cause you're amazing. I
I
think
think
you're an
maybe I'm just
amazing
bored.
person.
I
You're
think I may be
more an
bored, Coley. I
You
just
have
wanna
to have that passion. You have to have that love and that drive.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going anywhere. And you
Yeah, I mean,
obviously do.
I did have the passion. I mean, when I was 9, I had a missing time experience, about 1 mile from that house, by the way.
I
And
bet.
and I'm an onion.
The
Almost.
layers of an onion, yeah.
I know what you mean.
In therapy, that's what I always say, like, pulling back the layer. You
Yeah, it's like,
are,
we're
that's it.
gonna pull
You're an
back the layers
onion.
of the onion and see
Yep.
what's in there.
We're not even probably, like, layer 3 on Mark here. I think
No,
you've
I
got
don't know. I mean,
complexity to you. That's good. Very good.
no, I've never actually had anyone say that about me, but maybe, I don't know. But the thing
You're
is,
humble.
oh, there's no room for an ego in this. Let me tell you. Okay, I've had my ego smashed long ago. With not paying attention to certain things. Being arrogant about that thing in the house and then getting frozen to the carpet. Come on, I don't mind telling you I was terrified. Okay, the other co-cast members saw it happening, and they were wondering if I was having a medical event, and I was like, no, I can't move my feet. They're not moving. And again, in my head, when I said, okay, I believe you're real, it just stopped immediately and I could move again. It was literally totally gone. All right, there's something to that. Okay,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
we can't be
definitely.
stupid and say that that was all just coincidence.
Oh, absolutely not. And
No,
like you said before, is it coincidence or we just don't know it well enough?
I think it's, what I call it? I call it science undiscovered. Okay, that's what it is. It's science undiscovered. I think everything in the universe can be unraveled and characterized using science at some point or another. But we have to know the science. We have to understand science, especially the science we're delving into,
Mhm.
before we can actually say that this is what's going on. And I think that there's a lot of things we don't understand.
Oh,
We
for
don't
sure.
understand parallel universes.
Mhm.
I might have encountered one. I worked with my visual effects company. I worked with the late, great Douglas Trumbull, who did Close Encounters,
Oh.
2001: A Space Odyssey. Worked with him for 10 years. We did amazing things. And we're doing a movie, and I was building a prop here in my shop. And while I'm building the prop, out of the corner of my eye, I see a creature look like a dog walk into my shop. But I couldn't fully see it. It was semi-transparent and kind of
Mm.
weird. It was like water without the shine. I could
Yeah.
see shape, but
So
no
I see
highlights.
spirits. Yeah.
It's what anyone would say. They'd say, look, it's a ghost. Okay. Now, to complicate that, in previous weeks, I had been seeing people that aren't there and hearing conversations that aren't happening.
Mhm.
And I thought that it was a latent artifact of a brain surgery I had 29, 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, they had to
Blazer
put one
wants to
in.
know if it was black. Like, did you see, like, it was like a shadow
It
or
was it wasn't like a shadow person, but it was a gray, light gray, semi-translucent thing.
But see, this
And
would make sense if I'm seeing spirits like that. Like, who's to say that's not in that other parallel, that's not what happens? That
yeah,
kinda
well, here,
clicks.
let me explain how that happened, because the interaction sent me to the hospital. Okay.
Oh.
I was working on this thing and I saw this thing on the floor. I'm going, how you get when you're tired, you see things, you hear things coming from all sides,
Mhm.
you get really tired. Well, it was 3:30 in the afternoon. I was hyped up, couldn't wait to show Doug this cool thing that I built. Had a plumb for liquid nitrogen. The whole thing was going to be a beautiful, electronic unit thing. And I was anxious to get out of the house with it, but this thing was there. And I'm like, what is that? So I walked over to it and I stepped on it with my left foot. And what happened next took me out of the realm of this thing is being generated by my brain, and said, this is something real, because it registered that I stepped on it and it got up and it ran out of my shop. The
Oh.
problem was it took my left foot with it. And so I was being dragged, and it literally, I leaned into my left foot to keep it from snapping out from under me. Imagine someone taking a bungee cord, wrapping it around the base of your foot, base of your heel, grabbing the two ends and running away. There's only so long you can tolerate that before your leg snaps out. And that's what happened to mine. My leg snapped out. I saw my left leg right up here. Okay.
Oh.
I hyperextended my left knee.
Mm.
My right foot came off the ground. I was literally upended. I fell and hit this shoulder on a
Oh.
workbench, which made me fall over to my side, where I hit
Oh.
this shoulder on the concrete and the side of my head on the concrete. Okay. And
Yeah. Took a
I was
beating. Oh
I
my
took a
god.
beating from this thing, and I couldn't move my arm. I thought I broke my
Mm.
shoulder. This thing pulled me off from under me, and I was so excited that I got up, and there's no one in my shop, and I'm going, "Oh my god, did you see that? Did you? Yeah, of course not. I'm the only one here. Oh my gosh!" And so I immediately had to call a doctor and say I fell and I have to have my shoulder looked at right away. They went in, did X-rays, and they said, "Oh yeah, you've tore some stuff in your shoulder. How'd this happen?" I
Oh,
fell.
well,
I fell.
yeah. Say
Yeah.
that.
But then I had this thought. You know, the person I saw was semi-translucent. There was a female and a male. I could tell by a long dress that was a female. I could tell by the cut of a coat that it was a sport coat on this guy. And I think anyone else would call those ghosts. But I don't believe that's what they were. I think they were parallel universe intersections. Now,
Mm,
think of this. There's concepts of parallel universes, and
I'm a believer
we
that
don't
I
know if they're real or not, but there's a number of options. One way we can say there are concentric shells that are all coexistent in the same space, and they constantly push into each other. So this universe down here, okay, can push into the universe up here, and you see my finger coming up right there. That's an
Mhm.
incursion into our universe here for a moment. So if you happen to be there, you might be able to see something there, okay? And because the universe is in the theory are undulating. They're always changing their outer shape. They're like soap bubbles bouncing around, but with more definition, more resolution. So you get little points coming up and going down, points coming up, kind of like water. Water and oil on top of each other. You disrupt the oil, and it pokes down into the water. The water comes up. Okay, there's a name for that. That's actually called the Rayleigh-Taylor instability, but that's nothing. Okay, that process. Well, the universe is maybe doing that on a grand scale. So what if you're here and you see that little point sticking up right there, that point coming through into our universe? If you happen to be there, maybe you'll see a creature or something, not
Wow.
fully fleshed out, maybe, and
Mhm.
then it goes away, right? Well, the woman that I saw was there and then gone. The guy I saw walked and then vanished. Okay. Then this dog creature ran out and disappeared in sort of a haze. Okay. So maybe the dog was there and then went down. Was he doing it consciously? No, I think it's just a consequence. And maybe to them, I was the same thing. I looked
Mm.
translucent, semi-translucent to them too. You know, so I coined a phrase called a parallel universe intersect, PUI. It's since been people started using it actually, and I thought, well, good. I want people to investigate this stuff. So a parallel universe intersection could be the answer, the reason why I saw this thing. Now, paranormal investigators will say, well, you just saw ghosts. I said, how do we know that's not what ghosts are? Not only that, how do we
Mhm.
know that ghosts and PUIs, these parallel universe intersections, can't exist together at the same time? Why
Right.
can't a ghost be Aunt Edna? And why can't that thing be a parallel universe dog? Why can't two things be true at once? They might be,
I
because how we
agree.
perceive them in our four dimensions is what matters, right?
Mhm.
So how we perceive them makes all the difference. So if we perceive different phenomena a similar way, well, then things can be confused and look like a ghost, look like a parallel universe thing. And
Sure.
we won't have the science or the uh, language to provide a definition for that.
I was pulling up, if I froze for a second, I was pulling up something that, like, that I wanted to get your take on it. But I've seen stuff too. It's like it's I don't know if it's transitioning into this. You make very good points. I'm with you on this. Definitely. Have you
Well,
done a lot with the paranormal also?
when I was younger, I did. I never actually had a problem with it. I never felt that it was something silly. I always felt that there was something to it, and that eventually science would allow us to figure it out. Science will pierce the veil.
Yes. Oh,
Now when it
absolutely.
comes to alien life, okay, visitors from afar, right? Um, the only thing standing between us and them is their science.
Right.
So
Oh,
that's all.
absolutely.
That's all that stands between us and them. And when we look at a herd of elk, for instance, and we're studying elk, we do it from behind a blind little hole. Look at, okay, I can see that elk. Okay, we'll hit him with a tranquilizer dart, Frank. Okay, and we'll do that. Then we'll get a radio collar on him, right? So they tranquilize the elk. The elk falls down. We go out there, put a big old white or yellow radio collar on him, right? He gets up,
Mhm.
carries on like nothing happened. Well, we're a little more intelligent than elk. We would notice if aliens put a big yellow radio collar around our neck,
Right?
hang on, Bob, let me move this thing out of the way. Got some pizza, right? We would notice if there was a big ring around our neck with a beep beep transmitter on it. So it's potentially true that they'll use other means, less obvious means to study us. That's maybe where the whole concept of sinus implants come from, you know, and that's a possibility too.
Oh, yeah,
I
I agree.
yeah, I had an incident that occurred that made me move out of my old house, and that was that over 3 nights I had something knocking like this, knocking
Oh
like that
gosh.
on my ceiling, and I didn't get up the first night. The second night it did it again. What is that? I got up, and I had 2 dogs at the time, greyhounds, that I rescued from the track. And I'm looking at where the dogs are looking. They're looking up into the sky, out through the summer window. So I leaned against the window and I got hit in the face with a bright flash of white light. And I just stopped in my tracks and said, "Whoa, what was that?" I was
Right.
flash blind. And when I got my vision back, I ended up looking down. The dogs are gone. They were hiding. One was hiding in a laundry pile. One was hiding outside the room. And they never, ever came back into that room again.
Wow.
And the third night, I woke up again. And the previous 2 nights were exactly 3:15 a.m. And the third night, I woke up, and this time I couldn't move. Now, I'm familiar with hypnagogic states. I use them to meditate. I can go in there and just be like totally calm, can't move, but you can break out of it. You can just say, okay, I'm going to move now. And you move. Well, in this particular case, I couldn't move. Not only could I not move, I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't move my eyes. And that was really unnerving. I used to think I could just turn my eyes and move them around because that's kind of what I've done all my life.
Right.
But I couldn't. So I ended up, seeing in peripheral vision. I saw something cross in front of that window by the dim light of the one distant street light. And it came close to me, and it had this thing in its hand. It looked like a translucent white wand kind of a thing. And it came in front of my face, and I couldn't look directly at it. I only had peripheral vision. So I saw this grayish hand here, and it started putting something up my nose. And that's all I remember. And the next morning I woke up face down on the pillow with my hands at my sides, totally rigid, face down on the pillow. And I
Oh
couldn't
wow.
breathe. And I pulled my hands up, I pushed off the pillow, and I realized I couldn't breathe for 2 reasons. Number one, I was in this concave cavity made by my face pressing down on the pillow. And 2, it was filled with my blood. And I was starting to inhale my own blood. And
Oh
so
man.
I had to get up, and
Jeez.
I felt this pain in my nose right here. And I was like, what is this? And I remember the entire 3 nights of this incident. And then when I ended up going into the bathroom, I looked and I saw nothing that showed any visual indicator that I had suffered anything. But still,
Wow.
I ended up saying, well, I'll just go to work. So I took a shower and went to work and forgot about the whole thing. Now, when you have something that traumatic like that happen, you
Yeah.
couldn't just go to work. What kind of an idiot was
No.
I? And it was most likely, I was being told, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Go to work. Forget we ever did this. And so
Wow.
I did, you know,
That's
and it
intense. Yeah.
took 2 years to go to an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. Okay. I went to ear, nose, and throat, and I said, "Yeah, I got something up there," you know. He looks
I've
up
heard this
there and he's
so many. Yeah, people. Yeah.
right,
Mm,
and he goes,
yes.
"Holy cow!" He says, "You got something huge up there." Oh, really? He goes, "Yeah. I mean, you know, people have polyps in their nose." He goes, "But I don't know what you got, but this is massive." He says, "We got to get it out." And so we arranged an appointment. He numbed it up and he got it out. Now, it was as big as my 2 thumbs stacked on top of each other, and it came out through that little
Oh.
hole. I felt like Arnold Schwarzenegger in was it Total
Oh.
Recall? Get it out, you pull it out, yeah, right? A big ball, remember?
Oh.
Um, and when it came
Ooh.
out, my first words to him were, "Can I have that?" And he's like, "Are you serious?" "No, we had to send this to pathology." I said, "Okay, well, if you do, can you just have him check the middle of it, see if there's something in there, you know, might be interesting."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I can do that. You mean like a splinter that a machinist might get?" I go, "Yeah, yeah, I can do that. Why do you ask?" And I made the mistake of not saying, "Well, yeah, I'm looking for a machinist splinter." Instead,
Mhm.
I told him the story I just told you. And he laughed. He goes, "I'm sure it's not aliens." "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, of course not." What was I? Nah, I'm not even thinking that. Aliens. So he said, "Call me in a week and I'll let you know what's going on." Okay. And I said, "Okay, thank you." So I called him a week later, and he comes on the phone and he says, "Yeah, Mr. D'Antonio, I just want to let you know that it's probably benign, nothing to worry about." And I went, "Probably?" "Yeah." He goes, and he
Don't
says,
worry about it. Okay.
"Yeah." I said, "So you didn't get results yet?" And he was like, "Well," he goes, "We sent it down to pathology, but it appears they can't find it now."
Oh,
"Oh,
isn't that something, huh?
yeah." So I said, "Oh,
You needed Daryl Sims,
yeah, I
yes.
needed, yeah, well, I know Daryl very well. We're good friends, you
Yeah.
know, and I
He's
needed
great,
Roger
yeah.
Lear is what I needed,
Yeah,
you know, but
Roger
he
Lear too, there
wasn't
you go.
around.
No.
Yeah, no, Alien Hunter and I were buddies, and so Daryl. So I ended up saying to him, "Oh, okay, no problem." Yeah, just blew it off, right? Meanwhile, I didn't lose track of that. 2 years later, I went back to him for something else. Now, this time when I filled out my what you call the intake form, right?
Mhm.
I always draw pictures and say I'm always pregnant and nursing. Oh, you know, because the medical assistants that read these things, I give them a laugh. I draw cartoons, all that stuff. Because you're waiting in the waiting room for an extra hour for your doctor. What are you gonna do? Draw
Right.
pictures. So anyway, he comes in smiling, goes, "Yeah, my medical assistants love you." He goes, I go, "Well, he goes, "Yeah, they have a tough job. This brightens their day." "Ah, I'm glad." So he reads my occupation, and in the occupation, I do special projects for the Navy, which is true. I have for decades. As I told you, doing advanced concept stuff. And he
Mhm.
goes, "Oh, special projects for the Navy, huh?" I go, "Yeah." And he did something I've never had a doctor do in my entire life. He turned around and he hiked himself up and sat on the exam table next to me. It's like, awkward,
He wants information, yeah.
awkward. And he crosses his legs and he starts kicking his legs like we're 2 kids over a cliff looking out at a pond or something. And he goes, "I just gave up my top secret clearance this year." "What?" I think,
Oh,
"What, what,
oh,
what?" And he goes, "Yeah, I wasn't always a surgeon, you know." And he proceeded to tell me about a project he did, which I found out later was Project Starfish. For
oh,
those people that know that
wow.
in the audience, look it up.
Yeah. Oh,
They
yeah.
launched a nuke into the ionosphere to see what would happen in the ionosphere with a nuclear weapon. In fact, what they did was take down an enemy satellite. That's
Hmm,
what the purpose of the mission was, to
that
show
makes
that
sense.
they could do that. And that put us ahead of the Russians. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
anyway, yeah, it's all the arms race
Little
stuff.
Operation Paperclip, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it was Starfish Prime, I think. Well, anyway, I said, "Oh, wow." And at that point, when he told me that, I knew exactly what happened. Because when you work in that world, there's 2 things you have to do. you have to report anything that you think might be a violation of national security.
Mm-hmm.
An incursion into a private residence by some creature that's unimpeded by walls or windows is one of them. Okay. So he probably had to call his handlers down in Washington. I'm sure the
Sure.
call sounded something like this. Yeah, it's a doctor so-and-so from Hartford Hospital. This is all public record, by the way. Hartford Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut. I had a patient come in and said he had a weird event where something shoved something up into his sinus. I did remove something. There was a finding, and it's in our pathology lab here at Hartford Hospital. Okay. All right, Doc, what's your cage code? The cage code is an identifier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mine was 012 Charlie 0. You never forget your cage code. It's like a social security number. And he goes, yeah, so that's where it is. Okay, doctor. Thank you very much. Okay, bye. Click. Now, he doesn't know who took it. He doesn't know when they took it. He doesn't know if they took it. He just knows it's gone. So in court, under a polygraph examination, under any kind of military tribunal, any kind of court whatsoever, he's not lying if he says he has no idea where it went.
Yeah.
This is called plausible deniability. So
Mm.
that said, this guy turns out he was probably the one that made the call, and that's why it vanished.
Yeah, probably. Oh, I'm sure.
Now, it might have just been a stupid polyp. Okay. But I remember an event that caused it, because from that moment forward, that day that it happened, I could no longer breathe out of this sinus. It was totally blocked.
Oh, wow.
So that said, one of the
Wow.
things that I have to think is that maybe this was a real event. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so that said, I would have to say that this is something that we've heard about before. We've heard this happening with people that have had
Mhm.
these kinds of events.
Yeah,
So
I have some imaging, like MRIs that Daryl's they're investigating right now for something
really,
similar to this. Yeah, yeah.
well, that's cool.
Yeah, Daryl's been on a couple. I chat with him a lot, and so I'm just getting like the records from Mayo Clinic and John Hopkins over
Mhm.
to him. But yeah, he's taking a look at them. So
Nice.
I get that feeling. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, Daryl's a good guy. Known him for a long time. He's stayed at our CFO's house out in Mesa, Arizona, where our SkyTour live stream is based. And I've been there when he's been there, so we've had good times. Great guy. I
like
love
it.
his red shirt with the hat.
Yeah, I know.
Black coat, red shirt, hat. That's Daryl. It's
He has
great.
the gun. He sent me. I don't know. It's so funny, these pictures. He used to go here, and I'm like, yeah, that's right, my style right there.
Exactly right.
Yeah, good,
Exactly
great
right.
person, great
Yeah,
person,
he is.
definitely.
So
Well,
anyway,
I really like to thank you, Mark, and I'd like to invite you back for part 2 because I feel like we just kind of if you're up for it,
yeah, I
I'd
mean,
really
we
like
didn't
to.
talk about everything.
No, this is the onion. We're not even like no. But I would love, and I love when I pull somebody back for part 2. I'd love to do it like within like within the next week if you're available. I don't know, or next week or two.
Yeah, let me
If that
see.
would
I
work.
know what's today
Or
is
3,
February
2 weeks,
4.
3 weeks.
I have but maybe we'll talk about it.
Okay,
We
yeah. No,
might be able to
but
make it
you're
work.
open to it because I don't want to leave you. I just like I feel like we haven't.
I'm open to that. I mean, like I said, you were actually very gracious, so I don't have any problem with that.
Oh,
You
Mark,
know,
I really,
I don't do
you have
anything with
no
people that aren't
idea how
gracious.
I would just love to give you a hug right now. Just everything you're
Uh,
really, truly an
nah,
inspiration.
I don't
You
need
really
it.
are.
We're good. We're good.
No, but I mean, like, that's how, like, I emotionally really connected with
Oh,
your story
well,
today, and I just think it's wonderful that you're
no,
here
thank
to
you.
tell it.
Thank you.
And it's amazing.
It's just I can't help but talk about the things that I know can help other people. I can't help it. I'm not writing a book. I'm not trying to sell people anything. This is just the physicality of what we can do as human beings. And I'm talking about that. I don't Many times you hear, I have the cure for cancer. Just pay me $500 and you too can have the cure for cancer. You just want to go, okay, you know what? If it was so important, you'd be giving it away to humanity.
Yeah. You
So,
would think. One would think.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have
I
those
guess that's why I'll never be a
anti-agree.
millionaire.
Me either. I know.
Never be a millionaire.
Me either. Well, I guess in
Sorry.
closing today, please tell again people like skytourlive.org, that's your website.
Yeah.
We've
SkyTour
yeah.
live stream on YouTube. We're on Twitch, Trovo, YouTube, Kick, Facebook, YouTube. I said YouTube, Rumble. And when we stream to all those platforms. We multi-stream so people can see everything that we're doing. And it's really wonderful to be able to showcase the universe live in real time. And that's what we do,
Oh, yes. Yes. And
Yep.
a lot of people had said they had gone over to your YouTube channel. I'm going to pull it real quick again and subscribe. So
Oh, cool.
that's cool. Like I said, you were so nice and had invited me to watch your live stream. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I mean, you did a
I did. I want
fantastic
you to see
job.
what we do. I want you to see what we do and see, the value that we're offering. And, none of us are getting paid. There's 3 people in our organization and we're not taking a paycheck. We don't take a paycheck.
Oh, Mark.
So,
Yeah, that's wonderful, Mark. That really
yeah.
is. Thank you for all you
And
do.
maybe someday I will, but only if it's all I do, right? I mean, I
Right.
have the model making business and that work that I'm doing now. But someday I do want to transition entirely into doing full-time astronomy. And because that science, it's the rigorous application of astronomy that's going to get us off the planet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is,
Let's
And
get us
so,
off this planet.
yeah, we're going to have to go sometime soon. Not really.
Well,
We
no. I
have,
mean, like, I part of me feels like we're trapped on this planet. So if we're getting off, I feel much
oh, yeah,
better
no,
about that.
we are somewhat trapped. And if we keep putting stuff into orbit that doesn't work anymore, well, guess what? We're going to end up trapping ourselves on the
Casualty of it.
surface because we're
Yes.
not
Yes.
going to be able to get to orbit safely, and that's another big problem that we face in this in the science of human spaceflight.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, I
That's
agree.
right.
Could not agree more. And so in closing, I always leave it. What would you like to leave the audience with until next time?
Oh, very simple. I think when you look up in the night sky, remember there's so much more than you can't see. If you want to see it, you can come see it for free. It's SkyTour live stream on YouTube. And as we've been talking this whole time, I photographed a supernova remnant in the constellation of Taurus, which is right there in the sky. And I did it from 2,600 miles away using a telescope down in Benson, Arizona. So, it took a lot of effort to figure out all the tricks to make sure that you had backups to your backups. Because
Yes.
if something goes wrong out there, you've got thousands of dollars of equipment that you've invested in this science. And if it starts going haywire and you can't stop it, don't get into this business. So I had the right systems to actually do that kind of thing, which was good. And I share them with everybody. I'm this isn't stuff for sale. It's all just, I want people to do it. It's fun stuff.
Yeah. And it's
So,
it gets those wheels moving in motion. So that's really
yeah.
what.
Yeah. And they can always contact me, and my email is contactskytour@gmail.com. It's at our portal site, which you just so nicely put up there, before.
Let me take this down so we can
SkyTourlive.org.
see this. Yep.
Yep. You can message us. You can do anything. You can see a gallery of what we've done. You can go to our database and see all the photos we took, right up to the pictures I just finished taking.
Wow.
So it's all
Well,
up
next time you
there.
come on, you'll have to show your work and kind of,
I
walk
would
us
love
through
to.
some of
That'd be
that.
a fun one.
That would be.
Yeah,
That would be. I'd love for
another
everybody
6
to see that.
hours.
Yeah. Hey, you can part 3, part 2, part 3. We can do that.
Right.
I'm fascinated. Yeah, by this.
I did 6 hours with the New Zealand film crew yesterday here. They showed up at 2 in the afternoon, and we went until 9:45 p.m. And they said, "Well, you must be getting tired." And I said, "No, I'm fine. I'm a night owl. I'm just worried about you guys." And they're
And
like,
you do. I believe you. Now I get what you're saying. You can go the distance.
"Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
exactly, yeah."
You're
Yeah.
going all the way. Yeah,
Oh,
Mark's
yeah,
going the
absolutely.
distance. I'll
That's
put
really
my
good.
money on it.
But you know what?
That's
If
awesome.
people want to meet up and talk, I'll be at, let's see, what's it, February? In April, I'll be in Arkansas at the Ozark Mountain UFO Conference,
Oh, very
doing
cool.
a cool talk. And then in end of May, I'll be at Contact in the Desert out in
Oh,
Palm
yeah.
Desert, California.
Palm Springs or
Palm,
Palm
well, yes, I think
Palm yeah, something.
it's not Palm Springs. It's like actually it's Indian Wells. That's the name.
Oh, okay.
Okay, out there, and then in between that, in middle of June, I'll be in Illinois at a conference in Bloomington, and then I will be at Pine Bush, which is a New York State conference.
Oh, yeah, the Pine Bush one, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I've spoken there almost
Oh.
every year. So yeah, there's a lot of conferences coming up, and then if you want to see me in other ways, if you don't want to talk to me, you think I'm a jerk, well, you can just throw stuff at your TV when you watch The Proof Is Out There on the History Channel.
Oh, that's nobody's throwing stuff at you, Mark. Like you're a really great person. You really are all around.
Well,
So
you know, you
inside
humble
and
me.
out.
Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that. And you're a very gracious host too, and I'm
Oh,
glad
thank
that we
you.
finally got to do this.
Me too. Me too. And I will be in touch soon, and we'll see what we can do for a part 2 and get,
Okay.
show people like what you do like I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad
everybody, if they're
you
not
feel
there,
so.
go over to Mark, subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got some phenomenal stuff over there. And
Oh,
yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Mark. It really has.
thank you so much, Coley. Thank you very much.
Yep. And until next time. Wow, Mark is absolutely wow. I can't tell you, like, that was very moving. That was very, very moving. I very impressed by his work and just, it just you can tell a lot about a person just going through something like that and pulling through on the other end. That's such an inspiration to so many. So, I want to thank everybody who's here tonight for watching and coming back for round 2. We've gone 2 rounds today, which is, we're still hanging in there. We're not like, I mean, Mark definitely has stamina for that beyond me, but yeah, everybody be good to one another, and I'll see you again on Friday. I'll be back at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you had not already, hit that like, subscribe, and that notification bell. And until next time, I will be seeing you guys.